How many Chinas are there in the world? We'll give you 30 seconds to think about it, but honestly, it's better not to try, because for over 50 years, no one has been able to figure this out. Inside China, it's a topic you simply don't bring up under any circumstances. They consider it an exclusively Chinese matter. But even in the US, the situation isn't any clearer. On one hand, there's the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act and the 2020 Taiwan Relations Reinforcement Act. So it seems like Americans consider there to be two Chinas. But at the same time, not only are official visits rare, even phone calls from US officials to Taiwan are exceptional. And major American corporations like Blizzard have fired or banned employees for any mention of Hong Kong or Taiwan in a negative light. Why is it like this? Where did this Beijing-Taipei standoff begin? Make yourself comfortable, friends. The answers are coming in the next couple of minutes. Usually, videos on this topic start from 1949, but we'll go deeper, way deeper, and begin in the year 8000 BC. It's the end of the Stone Age, better known as the Neolithic. On the territory of what is now China's Fujian province lived the so-called Austronesians. This group got its name from their language family, and for their time they were quite advanced. They're considered among the first people on the planet to invent sail technology. They even had a primitive form of paper. Their main occupation was agriculture, and they achieved good results in it, but closer to the 5th millennium BC, they fell under pressure from more numerous Sino-Tibetan peoples. This led to a migration known as the Austronesian expansion. One branch moved from eastern China to Taiwan, where they had already been familiar, as the first Austronesian settlements on the island date back to 8000 BC. Thanks to their technological edge, they went on to populate the entire Pacific. Their descendants can be found today in Indonesia, the Philippines, Polynesia, and even Madagascar. For us, Taiwan is key because these Austronesians became the ancestors of the island's Aboriginal peoples. As of 2020, about 500,000 Taiwanese are considered direct descendants of these prehistoric Austronesians. Up until the start of our era, China didn't pay much attention to the island. But the Taiwan Strait and the island's geography didn't go unnoticed. As early as the 3rd century AD, Taiwan is mentioned in Chinese chronicles as the Island of Barbarians. In 239, mainland China sent a 10,000-strong expedition there. In 605, they did it again and brought Aborigines back to the mainland, taught them Chinese, and used them in diplomacy. By the 7th century, there were already villages on Taiwan and the nearby Penghu Islands, founded by mainland Chinese and Japanese. Pirates from both sides often used the unclaimed island as a base, but it was risky. Taiwan's Aborigines were fierce warriors. One custom in particular stood out. To prove he was ready for marriage, a groom had to bring back the head of a Chinese man to the village elders. When the Mongols came to power in China in the 13th century, they had no problem with violence. Under the Yuan dynasty, Penghu and part of Taiwan came under mainland control. Migration from poorer Chinese regions to the islands began, starting a relentless push of the Aborigines into the mountains, while the most fertile lands went to settlers from the mainland. These migrants' descendants, especially from Fujian and Guangdong, make up most of Taiwan's population today. But like much of the world, they would soon feel the impact of European colonialism. In 1517, Portuguese sailors passed by the island and named it Formosa. Beautiful. The Dutch East India Company soon followed. Fighting Spain for control, the Dutch won but held the island for just 20 years. During that time, they helped Chinese migrants displace local Aborigines, taught locals to use livestock and fertilizers, and left behind a few educated Aborigines who could write. Still, European interest was mainly about profit. Uprisings were common, and in 1662 the island was taken from the Dutch by loyalists of the Ming dynasty, marking the first time in history a European colony was completely overthrown, and the first time Taiwan was declared an independent state. This kingdom of Tungning didn't last long. By 1683, the Qing dynasty regained control. From then until 1895, Taiwan was under full mainland control. But the Qing treated it as a backwater, while many locals still identified with the old Ming dynasty and resisted Qing rule. In the 19th century, the Opium Wars broke out. Britain didn't like China's independence from foreign trade, especially its refusal to buy opium. After defeating the Qing, the West saw Taiwan as a perfect base for political and military pressure. In 1885, Taiwan became a full province of China. Railways and ports were built. Infrastructure improved, something even modern Taiwanese recall positively. But in 1894, China went to war with Japan and lost. Under the Treaty of Shimonoseki, Taiwan went to Japan. For Japan, this was their first colonial experiment, and they turned Taiwan into one of the most advanced territories in East Asia, second only to Japan itself. Railways expanded from 50 kilometers to 500 kilometers in just 10 years. The island was electrified and agriculture modernized. However, Japanese rule was strict, and by World War II, assimilation policies intensified, even conscripting Taiwanese into the Japanese army. Many fought for Japan, even in atrocities like the Nanjing Massacre. After Japan's defeat in 1945, Taiwan was returned to China, but not without complications. At the Potsdam Conference, Japan was told to give it up, but a proper peace treaty wasn't signed until 1951, and even then, China wasn't invited. The island's legal status was left hanging. Meanwhile, since 1927, China had been in civil war, nationalists versus communists. The nationalists, led by Chiang Kai-shek, eventually lost and fled to Taiwan in 1949, setting up the Republic of China there. Martial law lasted an incredible 38 years, known as the White Terror, with arrests, torture, and executions of suspected communist sympathizers. In the Cold War, the US became Taiwan's main backer, passing the 1979 Taiwan Relations Act, which promised military aid in case of attack by the PRC. At first, Taiwan held China's seat at the UN, but in 1971 the PRC took it, becoming the sole recognized representative. Since then, Taiwan's applications to rejoin have been blocked by Beijing every time. The US adopted strategic ambiguity, supporting Taiwan unofficially, but formally recognizing the PRC. This is why you get odd situations where the US passes laws to strengthen Taiwan ties, while still banning officials from even mentioning its independence. Today, Beijing insists on the One China policy, while Taiwan moves toward formal independence. Some countries back one side, some the other, and many try to stay friendly with both because there's a lot at stake. Taiwan's economy is booming. It's a global semiconductor hub, and mainland China remains its biggest trading partner. Martial law ended in 1987. Direct presidential elections began in 1996, and democracy has steadily grown. But tensions are once again rising, and how it plays out is a question for politics. The history of two Chinas, one and yet not one, we've just told you. If you enjoyed this video, we'll be happy to see your likes and comments. Until next time, friends.